interestingly, we're with Illustrious, we've just done an album based on the idea of music as medicine. So,
Right.
which is coming out shortly. We created an imaginary brand name called Mesmerine 111, based on 111 hertz, and so that's coming out soon.
Right. Oh, great.
We're all on the same page, really.
That's it. So what do you know specifically about 111 hertz then? What's your
Okay.
take on it?
So I did a touring show in the 2000s, actually, I think it was, called Future of Sound.
Right.
Just got bored with showing the 3D sound system. Also thought, God, if we'd just have a show and do it in a public space. So we did lots of amazing theatres. We did the Royal Institution in London. We did, the Sage and all sorts of places all over the country. And we gave everybody kind of 15 minutes to show how they might work with 3D sound in the future. And we worked with them in advance so they could show their practice off. And it was everything from kind of ballet and computer design and brainwave analysis and performance of all kinds and anything that was weird and wonderful. It was a bit like a kind of psychedelic gong show, where
wow, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
well, and anyway, one of the things was met this guy called Flint and Chalk, believe it or not.
Indeed, I know him very well. Well, not that well, but I do know who you meant.
Yeah. Who approached me and said, I'm working with this guy called Paul Devereaux, who you may have heard of as well. He's a professor emeritus from Cambridge, whose obsession is archaeoacoustics. And he told us all about it, and he said he'd been doing a lot of research into burial sites in Ireland, in cairns, and how many of them, they measured the primary resonant frequency of all these places, and they found out that despite the fact there were different sizes and different shapes and different cladding on the inside, that they all primarily resonated at mainly 111 hertz. And so the theory is that they obviously, sound rituals were an important thing in Neolithic society. And so he put this to the test. He got some students and several people, and put them in MRI scanners and fed them different frequencies without telling them what was going on. And at exactly 111 hertz, which is one of the frequencies they fed them, half of the prefrontal cortex switched off and put you in a trance.
Right.
So this has been proven academically. So we created a piece which then we performed in the space. And it was only 15 minutes long, but people were really deeply affected by it.
Right.
Based on 111 hertz.
And 111 hertz in terms of 111 hertz in terms of a sound, I think is like somewhere
low A.
Low A, is it? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's
little coy and squatsy kind of vibe. And yeah. So anyway, but people came up to us and said, "What the hell happened there? I feel very, very strange." And then we forgot about it, blah blah blah. And I thought, it's just something I found out. And then recently, I became more interested in it again. I thought, do you know what? What if I did a piece in 3D sound that was longer, so you could really put people in a trance?
Right.
And then maybe, as a bit of a kind of naughty wink wink thing, make out that it's actually a medicine and give it a brand name, which we did. And that's coming out shortly, and it's all in like a pillbox thing. Do you remember like Spiritualized? That kind
yeah. Sure.
It looks a bit like that.
I think Marc Ferry designed, very, very great bit of design.
It's beautiful, yeah. So anyway, it's not nicked from that, but that was a great idea, and it's also going to have a sticker on the outside of the cellophane, which is like a prescription from me.
Right.
and I'm going to sign it all.
Dr. Martin.
Dr. Martin. Well, actually, the original artwork, they wanted to call it, they wanted it to say Dr. Martin Ware on the top. And I'm going, no. Look, it's not about me. This is just a bit of a laugh, you know. No, seriously. It's
The original, I mean, the idea of actually presenting it like that and saying to people, you know, this works, or this is a pill that works, is, I mean, that's a very strong thing, because basically you're giving that's the placebo effect, and you know, a lot of people think about the placebo effect thinking like, oh, we'll give you something that's a pill that doesn't work, but the placebo effect in your brain is really, really strong. So in fact, you know, I think people dismiss kind of placebo type things, but they really work, because they do trigger things in your brain, and you know, as human beings, we're very, very suggestive. So I mean, I'm sure if you did say to people, this is absolutely proven, and we're now going to give it to you on the NHS, they would get better.
There are plenty of snake oil salesmen out there without any scientific proof, who are claiming all sorts of properties for different frequencies.
Oh God, I'm one of them. In the early days of sound healing, I was saying all kinds, believing everything. And it's only as you develop and evolve through your industry that you realize, okay, you've got to really look into what's widely just said and agreed upon. Something that just gets said enough over time then just becomes the truth in many esoteric circles. So that's why I've always been so passionate as I've gone through this field to first of all have that anecdotal evidence, but then to see what grounded Western science there is to validate that. And I think that 111, out of all the different frequencies that a lot of us sound healers are out there peddling, 111 is definitely one of the most widely researched across the world. And it does have, it's a very credible thing, I think, to align with. So you've chosen my favorite frequency, and I think for me it's the temporary shift from left brain to right brain dominance. What you said, Martin, with the study that switched off half of the brain, for me that's the most powerful thing, because if we could all shift a little bit more into the more creative aspect of our lives, the world would be a much more beautiful place. I have a 11 hertz fork on my desk. I use it every day for that purpose. I hope you use it.
Yeah, I do use it all the time, actually.
And do you think, what's your thoughts on like frequencies related to chakras? Is that something, because there's quite a lot of sort of what's your thought about that?
You got to play it fast and loose with that one, because although there's nothing that can actually validate that the chakras align to the keys of the piano, the notes of the piano, i.e. C, red, D, yellow, orange, and so on and so on, up to the top chakra. But we're working with ancient systems there, whereby they've stuck around for so long, and there are so many different schools of thought. Personally, yes, I do subscribe to aligning the notes of the piano to the chakra system, but not because there's enough validated, nailed on evidence to suggest that, yes, this is real. It's more of a feeling, it's more of an intuitive relationship, and working on old ancient systems that have been used and utilized across the world. It's almost like a shared reality that many groups of people have aligned on and agreed on. So whilst there's not enough studies been done to suggest this is exactly what it's doing to the body, when I play the bowls, for example, the crystal bowls, I still kind of loosely have that in mind, that when I'm playing a bowl tuned to the key of C, that I'm activating and stimulating that root chakra. But it really is, dare I say it, more of a strong alignment and belief in the ancient practice of it, rather than this is nailed on science.
Yeah, so there's an element of kind of ritual within it as well, and yeah, I mean, I really like the kind of color system, and you know, and I've done a reasonable amount of energy work, and you know, you can, I can see people's auras, probably not through the screen, but you can't. There's I think there's a lot in it, and for me with the music for healing things, it's you know, I went quite a long way trying to kind of look at scientific evidence, but I kind of found that people were just writing into me every day, and still do, just write in and say, well, you know, we've used this for anxiety relief, we've used it because of for bereavement relief, that we're in hospital to help us heal and stuff like this, and they're kind of, you know, these people believe it, and they've seen the evidence themselves. So that I kind of, you know, for me that's enough. Not being a scientist, it's like, well, if people are saying that, and you know, and they've said, we've given verse to this music and it helped, that's great for me. I'd find that an amazing kind of result, really. But yeah, and I'm kind of like, I don't particularly need to do a double blind test to know that really slow music is relaxing, because it is, but not for everyone. It's that's the other thing. It's like, kind of, if you're open to it, then it will more likely work, I think. But I think it does for a lot of people. But I do think it's interesting with the 111. I think I'm getting much more into thinking about drone lately.
Yes.
And why that was, there's drone music in every culture, from Aboriginal to bagpipes and
Boogie box, harmoniums in India.
There's and Eastern European ones. There's stuff there, and I think there's something about a continual tone. I think that's the thing, that it's just that it kind of seems to anchor you in a certain way and just gets you into a certain space. And I think for me that's really interesting. And the music that I was most drawn to before I was making the music for healing stuff was much more drone based. It was things like Eliane, Radiguet and things like that, which are basically, some of those are just like one tone, but that changes. There's a piece, Trilogy de l'Amour, which I'm always talking about, and it's basically a tape piece. She did it on a ARC 25,000 big massive computer that looks a bit like a kind of telephone exchange thing, a really big one, and with the spliced tapes, and it took about a year to make this piece. And it really is just tones that just change a bit, and it's about an hour. But having listening to that kind of during quite a meditative state was probably one of the most psychedelic experiences I've ever had. There's something about it, but it was because it was continual, but continual but slightly varying, and that was. I think there's something within our brains and our physicality that kind of likes that idea, that kind of anchoring, I think. And there's also I kind of came to drone recently through Harry Sword's book.
It's brilliant.
Monolithic, monolithic Oblivion,
Monolithic Undertow.
It's just it, not Oblivion, that's it. Monolithic.
That's a good album title for you, though, Richard.
Yeah, totally, yeah. So I think it's quite a prog rock title, that. But again, he starts it by going to ancient sites and talking about specific frequencies there, and was saying it's interesting that the 111, it's kind of quite similar to a very kind of low male voice, and they were saying that's why possibly you would get ritualistic singing in these places as well, because it would kind of amplify it as well. And so I don't know if I think the space is kind of, it's then it's down to, well, did people create the spaces knowing this stuff, or the other way around, where the space is there and people went to them and therefore they found out? That's a tricky one. But,
well, interestingly, I've always thought this about Christian churches. The idea. I'm not read about this, so I'm just, it may be blindingly obvious, but I mean, the fact that they tend to build very tall spires, it's obviously some kind of effort to reach heaven, or to focus the energy of what's going on towards heaven.
A portal.
Yeah. I mean, there's one in Little Venice where I'm doing now, which is amazing.
It's gorgeous, that one.
Contemporary one. It's really thin.
Right.
Beautiful. And
my flat's on that same road.
Is it in Little Venice?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
You still got the flat?
Yeah. I'm there most weeks.
Are you?
Yeah. That's my plug into London.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so I was talking about the monolithic undertow stuff. That's kind of the inspiration for the 111 Hertz album as well.
Really?
So I thought, I just want to dig a bit deeper into your music for healing series. So when did you decide, and how many are there?
Well, there's at least 5 years worth, and I just do 2 tracks every month. I mean, it's sort of 2 versions of a 20-minute track every month. So that's so 5 times 12, times 20 minutes. So probably about a day's worth of it. What's the point?
Are we going to release them as a box set?
Yeah, they come out. I started kind of before lockdown, and then kind of really ramped it up through lockdown. And it was initially it was it was kind of something I wanted to do for Mind, for the mental health charity, and so I started doing things for them, and then getting the feedback and really thinking about that area of things about mental health, really, and then gave the money, any money that came into it, I gave it to them, and then it kind of just developed into a thing that I did every month. So it's become more like it's more like a diary, weirdly. So you know, I kind of and I kind of have to do it because it's a Bandcamp thing. I put it out every month. Everyone knows it's going to come out at the same time. So I'm in a situation I can't really stop now. It's kind of
it was like my previous podcast. It's like
exactly.
Oh, like I couldn't get off the roundabout. You know, it's like, oh fuck. So I had to.
So they all come out. I mean, they come out on vinyl. They come out on I do sort of 3 CD box sets as well. So there's so you get I mean, CD is great for it because you've got, like, you know, 80 minutes per CD, so you get 4 hours of that. And yeah, and the people have just, as I say before, the response has been amazing. People just, you know, continually write in and say, you know, that they're either waiting for the new track or you know, they've got some kind of ritual or you know, around the tracks, that, you know, the for example, someone uses it to put their dogs to sleep at night, and apparently it takes up,
Only I hope.
you know, 20 it takes sort of, you know, not even a minute, and the dogs are kind of knows, you know, it's the Pavlovian response in sound. So,
Incredible.
so maybe that's nothing. It's you kind of like learned experience could be done.
I've got another question for you. I suspect this is also for your mental health as well.
I think, yes. I mean, certainly the initial idea of doing music for healing was because I was living on Portobello Road. I lived on Portobello Road for years and years, and we had like a lot of problems going on outside. There was it's really weird. Like the whole street was quiet, but just us outside on our corner. So something about corners in Portobello Road for years. It was kind of basically dealing and ne'er-do-wells and dodginess, and there was a cafe downstairs where that just took a dislike to us because we were in the building above, and for some reason we just couldn't really get on, and there was one point where I got surrounded by about 10 people and couldn't get into my house. If I opened the door to my house, people would fall in. It was mad. Yeah, so all of the next door neighbours moved out, and it was just, and there was three girls. They were getting kind of harassed, and so it was a really horrible situation. And I was just really didn't know what to do for my family and stuff. And so it kind of sorted itself out after a little while. They got shut down, but during that time, I thought, right, I need to create a safe space for myself, and I thought, right, I'm going to create a safe sonic space, basically, just so I had a studio upstairs, and thought, right, you know, it's pretty safe, but let's just create a soundtrack for that, and that's yeah. So initially it was purely personal, which is kind of why I kind of then kind of gravitated towards Mind and the mental health charity, because it was, you know, I don't think I've got you know, I've got very mild anxiety from it. It wasn't like really sort of bad, but it certainly was affecting my mind, you know, so and my well-being. So
you do transcendental meditation, right?
yeah. I mean, I did that.
That.
Well, I've been doing that since I was about sort of early 20s, and which is basically a mantra, and you get the mantra, and you get kind of taught the mantra, and then you say the mantra, and then you say it quieter and quieter and quieter. This is when you learn it, and then you just say it within your mind, and it's so it's a cyclical thing. The mantra changes as however old you are, but I think some people just stick to their first mantra. But I've kind of gone through the different ones. But it's just, I think it kind of focuses. I think it probably does the same thing that 111 does, because you're focusing on that, you're not focusing on other things. It's similar, like if you're in a flotation tank, if you're just cutting out certain senses, then other things, open up. And so yes, I did. Have been doing that for a long time, and I found very physical effects for it. I mean, you literally can feel like things unlocking in you and stuff. I had when we were learning, there was a guy there, a French guy who was been an athlete and stuff. And when we were meditating together, there was like 20 of us or something like that, which for some reason felt a lot stronger. And I've no idea what that is, if that is true, or it could be a very strong placebo thing that you think it's stronger because there's loads of people there. But there's something there. There was some kind of thing that felt more of a group community thing. And this guy who was he was an athlete, and he was just like going like this. It was like literally, there was just things were unlocking in his muscles, like really, like quite seriously. And so I thought, wow, and I could feel little ones. I still do now. I can still become. If I've got a cold, I can my nose will stop being blocked by doing meditation, which is quite a strange thing. And you can feel certain necks and things. Unlocking a bit. So I was really interested in that as a kind of physical aspect. But I also thought, well, if you're still having something to do with language, which the mantra is, it's still, I don't know, it's not. I thought maybe that's not as pure as music. So I started doing the meditation with this drone music, with the Trilogy de l'Amour piece, and it suddenly that made the meditation feel a lot stronger. And then I started to just not use the mantra and just listen to the piece, and then it became even stronger. So it was quite weird. But I think because your brain's not concentrating on the languagey bit, and it's just music, it's just going in direct. I think it just felt more direct, but it just for some reason it felt like a stronger meditation. And since then I thought, well, actually, yeah, music can be a stronger meditation than transcendental meditation because it just, you're not, there isn't the barrier of like language or visual intake or something like that. It seems to go in more direct. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how scientific that is at all. I mean, it might maybe completely wrong, but it feels more instant when you're just listening to a piece of music rather than. But the same thing is listening to a piece of music compared to some speech. There's a different thing there, because you kind of it sort of goes.
Yeah, you just different parts of you.
Yeah. Sure.
Cherub, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I love so much to feedback from that. First of all, I completely feel you with doing the mantra. I do it myself. And the word mantra literally means that deliverance is a tool to deliver the mind from its busyness. That's what it does. It transports, it's a vehicle to take the mind elsewhere. And that single pointed focus that you get from having, especially in your case, your own personal mantra, it's a mechanical process that activates certain points along the hypothalamus and actually creates a very real and measurable effect in the body. It's an ancient process and mystical, but yet mechanical in a way and direct. So everything you're saying I completely resonate with. And I love that the intention behind making the music was to create almost like a sonic sanctuary for your transcendental meditation to reside in. Because if you're anything like me, I've tried all the meditation apps. I've tried all of them. I've experimented with guided meditations, everything. Nothing lands for me more than just a simple on repeat. Because for me, I've never been able to find meditation music that isn't disruptive, that isn't distracting. The chimes are too hard, the voice is too squeaky. So I've taken away all of those distractions now, and the only thing that can work for me in meditation is beautiful, intentionally curated drone type soundscapes that are in a way almost passive, that don't engage those different centers of the brain that you would listen to if it was a more structured piece of music. So the music that you've created is perfect for that. It really is, because I think there's so much noise and music and distraction and in our lives that when you come to meditate, it's just about coming into the center of our being, and the mantra with your music is the perfect portal to take us there.
I think as well, a lot of it is with there's some quite intentional things in the making of the music. I did cut out quite a lot of frequencies as well, particularly higher frequencies, and also tried to have it so that there's kind of lots of kind of cyclical things that come in, and so you've kind of, your brain's kind of used to what's about to happen next. So that I think that supposedly kind of lowers the fight or flight idea, that you kind of, you're slightly more comfortable.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be coming in a cycle, and you don't know what's, so that seems to help, and also just really not I try really not to have too much surprise in it, so that if there's no kind of big cymbals coming in or something, or like other things, it's kind of on this thing, so that, yeah, it's kind of, I think the taking out the high frequencies, I think, was just I kind of, for me, I've just got some kind of ideal of an ambient track in my brain, and it really is what Aphex Twin named ambient bubble bath. Just that's
Nice.
it's that kind of warm. It was Analog Bubble Bath. It was his track, was it? But that idea of just a kind of warm sound, which is quite it's not particularly high end frequencies. It's just a sort of, and you're kind of in it. So I think that's the kind of, I've always had that as the ideal of what the track should sound like. But then from there, it can go off into piano or other bits and pieces. But I try and make it not particularly, that you're listening to that.
It's a fine judgment, though, isn't it? Because, this, obviously, things like this have been around since we've been born, really, and before. But in fact, in one of the other podcasts that we did, I was talking about, I got roped into watching a very long opera once, and it was Parsifal, Wagner. It was like, and the opening section is like 3/4 of an hour long, nobody moving on stage, and just a very, 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 very slowly growing. It's like an 8-piece orchestra, but starting at silence and just growing and growing. I'm going. At first, you panic because you're so used to needing something to change, and then once your brain kind of calms down, the rest. It was 5 hours long. The rest of it just floated past.
That sounds amazing.
It's quite time dissolved completely. I'm sure that was his intention. To kind of program your mind into that. But I've got another theory as well, which is the sort of music that you create and that you understand as the premise for creating is like, really what you're creating is, the metaphor for me is like a carrier signal or a re-examination or activation of different parts of your brain. So it's like I don't know if you relate it to FM synthesis or something. You have a carrier frequency and then you modulate it, right? And then, or AM or whatever it is. But it's to me, it's like the presumption is that you want to stop the kind of micro looping of the mind and make the loop a lot longer. Within the and listen, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I can't really explain why this.
Yeah, but but it's interesting. I mean, you very much understand synthesis, so that kind of what does go with it, really, is it?
Well, it does, and also the fact that both. I presume you learnt. You were in a more you were in like a guitar band to start off with, is that right?
Yeah, it was like kind of buzzcocks, undertones, kind of.
Right.
It's kind of poppy, punky stuff.
But then you quickly went into, not quickly necessarily, but you became much more electronic and much more. Yeah. But you understood intuitively, as I did right from the start, the timbres and the fact that you could create these worlds that were built at different frequencies and harmonics and stuff. So yeah, I mean, not everybody. I kind of take all that for granted a little bit. It's only since I've done these podcasts over the last few years that I kind of realize it's quite unusual.
Yeah, I mean, I was really lucky because I mean, in the grid, I had Dave Ball from, previously from, and still in Soft Cell. So I kind of had someone that was kind of came from a similar kind of sort of post-punk kind of background, really, but someone who really understood synthesis and could teach me the basics of it, and it was that was really handy because there's as you say, there's people wouldn't, I mean, it's a bit like guitarists don't particularly know about the what frequencies or something, do they? So it's a particular keyboardy kind of thing, and it's yeah, so I did get into that early on, and I have had some great kind of droney experiences with particularly with Moog synthesizers, the things like me and Dave used the System 55 for we had about it's quite a long time. We spent a few weeks on it in at the University of Guildford, at the University of Surrey, and this massive machine. It's like a sort of wall of synth, and it was just great because it was a warm analog synth, and after a while after a few days it would do things like it would change what it was doing down to how hot the room is and stuff like this.
Yes, well, yeah.
And after a few days, we just thought it was almost like it was talking back to us. It was such a
living organism, yeah.
Yeah, and just that, and it felt really organic. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like a machine. It felt like something that was coming from pure electricity, like lightning or something, or it just felt like a real something you could really connect with, and which is odd thinking about these machines, because they're things that you plug into the wall socket. They're not an acoustic guitar. They've got, but there was this feeling about it, and particularly using just kind of drones and filters. So there'd be these kind of filter banks, and you can create these incredible overtones on it, and it's just, it sounds like angels, but it's a kind of a synth with just a few oscillators, and it's but I think there's so much more I could study with that one synth for years, I think, and still not get to the bottom of it. It's just the range of tones was so inspiring. I think that does seem to be a bit of a problem with people that get to or a challenge, certainly, with people that get to use modular synths a lot. But at the end, they stop writing songs completely and just write these patterns or drones or things because it's so kind of hypnotic.
Well, I've definitely become much less. Although the workflow is much easier, obviously, when you're using virtual synths. But I'm afraid it's a bit like tasting the best wines or something. Once you've tasted them, you become very dissatisfied with the supermarket plonk. And I'm afraid most virtual synths are the supermarket plonk. They do a job, but they lack character. And I was talking to somebody I was talking to the guy who designed everything after Robert Moog's death. He designed all the new machines, and he was explaining to me about the reason why analog synths sound so much better than digital synths, and it kind of is a bit edging towards the quantum physics end of things for me. But it's like the idea, obviously, it's all zeros and ones fundamentally, and it approximates quite easily and quite cheaply to the beauty of a single oscillator, for instance, with a single filter. It can never achieve it, because it's the analogy would be a low res digital camera compared to a 70mm Panaflex camera with a huge frame size. I mean, it's just insanely higher quality in terms of if you could even break it down to pixels, you couldn't. It's millions and millions and millions and millions of them.
Yeah.
So
I think that seems to kind of resonate with you as a as a human and as an ear and a listener. It's something, you know, that you can tell the difference. I don't think you need to be particularly sort of musical or scientific to hear that sounds different. I think
It's an energy. It doesn't, even if you don't have that tuned ear, like you say, we can all feel it. It is an energy, and it's an intention and an essence that comes across when something is real. And I feel, just even listening to this right now, I'm sitting amongst modular mystics who truly understand the difference. And that's what I think the world needs more of. My question for both of you with that in mind is, talk about this bridge that is clearly being formed with people like yourselves at the helm of this mission, this bridge that is being formed between electronic music culture, which you were both very much pioneers of, and then this conscious wellness. There seems to be this alignment of the two now, where I've been in the acoustic world of sound healing for 15 years, and I can see very much what impact that's had on mainstream society. But what I'm loving now is seeing this connection between the electronic music scene and people feeling healed.
Well, I mean, the good thing about it, as you say, is it just seems to be growing enormously, doesn't it? And you're hearing more about it, and there's more press, there's more events, there's more, you know, and also with kind of surround sound technology as well. That seems to, you know, I love that you can actually, you know, you could be surrounded by music and these ideas, and but yeah, I mean, it's I think it's still, I still think it's really early days as well. I still think it's going to take years and years to really understand this stuff, and it will need science as well, I think, to get there. But yeah, I just I mean, I think it is a natural place for electronic musicians, because they would be curious about sound and the effects of it, and it, you know. So I think it's been a long time coming, but I think it is particularly you know, the right path.
So can we? I think ultimately it boils down to not just the effect, the kind of, I suppose, medicinal effects on, in some respects, mental health anyway, of sound, but it's about the intention at one end, and it's about how it's received by people who aren't experts, right? Or just the common person in the street. How can they access the well-being thing more easily, and without it necessarily having to be such a kind of niche thing, like, oh, do we have to go to a sound spa? You know,
Holy.
no, but seriously, I mean, why aren't there sound spas, for instance?
Yeah,
You know, I mean, we go to isolation tanks. I do anyway, and I love that stuff. And people go and have massages and stuff. You do sonic massages, Cherub, which is, I can highly recommend. You've got to get down with that shit. And but I think the other thing is, and it's another part of the brain, is how it emotionally connects. How can we make how can we combine the technology, the well-being intention, and engage people emotionally? That's what fascinates me.
Right.
And that's what you said, is that word, you said it's accessible, because most of us have lived through many different rave cultures where it's really unified us and brought us together. Nothing can do that more than a dance floor. Nothing. That is the techno temple of our civilization in the West. It's who we are. It's what brings us together. So to feel that you have to kind of separate your music for entertainment purposes and your healing, there's no more division anymore. It's all coming together. And I think that's what's making it so appealing to people, is that we can all relate to music as medicine in the form of electronic beats that are trance-like in nature. So to bring this back to the history of what you've moved through, both of you, actually, is that you've both been part of so many different musical movements, acid house, psychedelic rock, rock, pop, in general, everything. And now you're both moving into that more healing ambient sphere. So what you're essentially doing is picking out the best like almost like, you know, the herbal tinctures from each section. You
Very well put there. You need to get drunk more often.
Exactly, it's all coming out, and then that's how you're now arriving at music being the medicine for all in this particular sonic structure that you've got, the ambient drone type, and blending it with, you know, the acoustic and the frequencies that we've brought.
I think certainly for me, I mean, acid house and dance culture has been very kind of central to my music and the development of my musical taste and playing and stuff. And I think you're right. There's something about a lot of people at once kind of connecting. You know, you get that at a gig, at a football match, or certain one. You know, I remember that. You know, the first time Brian Wilson came back to play in London, and the vibe in the room, you could see it. It was just like it was going from the crowd to stage, back in it, and everyone was willing him on. No one knew if he could still do it. You know, it was almost a kind of Syd Barrett figure at that time. No one really knew if he still had it in him because there were so many rumors and stories, and it was so strong. You know, and there's something about, I think, you know, that's what's great about what you're saying about the, you know, this kind of developing kind of mixture of wellness and music, is that it works at gigs. It can work in all big groups, you know, and you know, I mean, just the you know, I mean, you've been in this area for a long time. I mean, you know, it's only really a very few years since you started seeing like gong bass and things at festivals, isn't it? So it's probably within the last few. I mean, you probably know more than me about that, but I think there's something about that it's got that kind of communal thing. I think that really helps, and that kind of really ties in with what I was saying about the meditation when we did this group meditation, and it you know, it really felt stronger, you know, and I don't and for me it was stronger, you know, and I'm sure it's something about us. I don't know if we all resonated at the same thing, or there was something that we tapped into, but it just, you know, but we do feel that in, you know, when people sing in choirs, you know, it's just such a great thing, you know, breathing and singing and do something at once. It's so good for you, you know. It's yeah, I don't really know why, but I do think it's things happen.
Have you guys read Dancing in the Streets by Barbara?
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it? I love that book. It's all about. It's called Dancing in the Streets: A History of Collective Joy. So it's all the ancient rituals and why it's necessary and why it's built into our DNA that we need it. It's not like some nice to have.
Yeah.
One of the great destructive tendencies of contemporary Western life is isolation, you know, loneliness.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because to answer your comment there, Richard, about gong bass only just now starting to become into the forefront of people's awareness, for me, I've been doing this since 2010, and it was definitely way more niche before.
Yeah.
Lockdown, I felt, was the real surge of interest in sound healing and in wellness practices in general, because people realised, oh my God, just like, you know, the very term dancing in the streets, it got taken away, and all of a sudden people are left with confronting like the inner caverns of their own consciousness and having to face themselves in isolation, and that sense of community spirit just stopped. And that's when people started to turn to wellness practices for solutions. So I noticed, as someone in this field, how everybody's practice amplified around that time. And out the other side, sound healing really started to get more widely credited as a valid medium for healing and transformation. So it's amazing to see more and more people are now tuning into it. So to have that connection where we're bridging both electronic and acoustic as well, it really does feel like it's so much more relatable for people and accessible. And yeah, the sky's the limit really with where we can take it now. We have all these incredible musicians on board from all these different eras of sound that can start doing really creative, interesting installations and projects with it that can really start to make a difference in the world.
And also at the same time, there's a big boom in ambient music as well. I mean, it's that seemed to come at the same thing, I mean, which is probably for similar reasons, I guess.
Who's your favourite ambient composer, Richard?
I'm always sort of a big Eno fan, really. I kind of started there just because the kind of warmth in it, and you know, I quite like the theories and stuff as well. But yeah, I think there's many, but I'm still a big Brian Eno fan.
Me too.
So we actually went to one of his concerts in the Barbican a few years ago. Me and my sound partner Tim Wheater, who you met, Richard, when we opened in Sheffield, and we allowed ourselves to get rather triply assisted for the concert. Tuned in, sat down, and then realised we'd gone to a talk where he explained the procedure and process, and he had a PowerPoint presentation, and there's me and Tim sliding off the chair, not knowing who we were or where we were, thinking we were about to bliss out to some, triptastic Eno classics. It was a conference.
Yeah,
that's
I must admit I did exactly the same thing a few years before. Really? And I think it was a lecture about that perfume and David Bowie's wedding or something.
Oh yeah, as a way of perfume, that leads us nicely into synesthesia. Color organs.
Do you have it? You too? Do you have any synesthetic?
I don't, and I wish I did.
I have flavours of it, not as much as I'd like, but funny enough, my next door neighbour here has extreme synesthesia.
Right.
So if, for example, if somebody walks past in the colour red, that's just like somebody's just screaming at him. It's one of the lower end of the spectrum, the colour red. I think it runs at 4,000 cycles per second. Violet's up at 12,000. So the higher the chakra colour, the more pleasant I believe it is for people with synesthesia.
Right.
Interesting, because Glenn from M17, his wife, who I've known longer than Glenn actually, for about nearly 50 years, she is very quiet and a completely straightforward northern girl. She's not hippie at all. None of this, stuff. It took ages for her to reveal that she is properly 100% synesthetic, and we tested it. At first she was a bit embarrassed about it. She thought it was a disability, really,
Condition.
a condition, and she said when you speak or anybody speaks, she can see the speech in color in front, and not literally see it in the air, but in her mind she sees colors for different sounds.
It's like a superhero power.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know what it's useful for, but anyway, so I thought, is this just bollocks? That's just my natural stumpism, and so we tested her on different phrases, different sounds on different days. So we asked similar questions on different days, and what does my name look like? Well, it's brown with a little flick of red on the end, or but entire phrases and things, and it absolutely all checked out. Wow. This is real. I mean, she finds it quite onerous, as she has to kind of suppress it, because it's like there must be if it's a superpower, what is it useful for?
Yeah. Has she found any benefits? I mean, for me personally, for somebody who lives, breathe, is colour, my strapline for life is love, joy and colour. In fact, for my 40th birthday, my sister surprised me with champagne flutes that had love, joy and colour written down the side, which is the best surprise ever. I mean, that's my essence of life. So I would love to have that ability, but I would imagine it could be quite detrimental in parts as well, especially if you put it extreme like my neighbour. He actually has to kind of ostracize himself away from society a bit, because you can't be in big crowds and where there's all different colours and people speaking. It's actually overwhelming.
It's definitely a sound colour synesthesia.
Yeah.
She doesn't hear sounds when she sees colours.
Oh, interesting.
I've got that a bit, which is that I don't it's not hearing sounds when I see colours, but certainly if someone's looking at me from across the room, I hear a sound. Quite a weird one, and just certain things that, like, I'll look at something and then there will be a sound. There'll be like a sound effect. They're sort of like whooshes or like noises, but not really notes or anything. But they are sounds that I get. So that would be just some weird, just a few things. Certainly the one about people looking at you, and just things across the park or something that I'll kind of have, as I see it, I'll have a sound that goes with it. But not very often, but I do get it quite a lot. But
So how has that inspired your creative process then? Because maybe that's helped you tune in musically.
I think I just sort of because it's happened since I was little. I can't really. I thought everyone had it. Then I didn't even think about it. I just thought it was a thing. That it was just a bit like, I don't know. It's sort of the sounds when you sort of feel kind of pressure inside your head. Those they're kind of like rushing sounds and things. It's not. So I thought it was just just normal. I didn't really think anything of it really. But
my God, one of my friends is an X-Man.
Yeah, I had to hide it, the thing. But
Truth is out. Sounds like contact with light beings to me. I mean, they're like, they're even way inclined, but lots of my spiritual friends who have downloads and uploads or whatever other buzzwords you get for connecting. They all you talk about.
Gareth, you've got to tell her, you've got to explain. Don't just blithely mention it. What is light beings? Come on.
Well, beings from other galaxies and universes, if you believe in that kind of thing. And lots of my friends who seemingly have that contact talk about whooshes in the brain and crackling on the back of the skull. I've had it a little bit myself. And seemingly that is some level of frequency coding, like switching the dial on the radio station to tune into another plane of reality. Often it comes through this crackling and popping and noises and whooshes in the head and around the skull. So I'll just leave that there for investigation.
Faith with alternative quantum realities, perhaps.
Exactly. This is one of many, and we only have, I think, can hear between, what is it, Richard, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz we're capable of hearing. So there's a whole bandwidth of sound and the spectrum that we can't even access. And there are people on Earth that can, retune the dial there and experience different realities. Maybe you're one of them.
So what's coming up next, Richard?
Well, moving swiftly on. Thanks for that, Martin.
Well, I was just to follow that up. I was thinking about I've got a bat detector, and I go out at night and listen to bats with this thing, which they and that does the same thing. It's like basically it's basically a pitch machine, so it pitches up, and then the bats sonar signals that they're giving out are in the higher frequency than we would normally hear. But if you get this machine, you can actually hear into them. They sound like some of them sounds like it's a kind of like a clapping, like a weird kind of flamenco clapping, and one of them sounds like a kind of synthesizer that Hawkwind might use, a sort of thing. So yes, I mean that's the thing. That's like, it's just because they're slightly out of our frequency. So yeah, I'm sure there's there's lots that we can't hear and can't see, compared to or can't smell. Like my dog's smell is incredibly.
How does your dog smell? Terrible.
Exactly. but yeah, you just have to stop all the time to wait for the dog to sniff everything. And I think that's true. I think that we kind of there's lots of untapped areas of senses.
Have you heard? I'm sure you have. I did a project once with an artist called Anna Hill, and she'd been up to the Arctic Circle and recorded, together with some Finnish university professors, recorded sonification of the auroras, right?
Wow.
And then that led me on to learn about the whole shortwave frequencies that are caused by auroral storms that bounce along the inside of the ionosphere, and which is how shortwave radio can transmit across the Earth or around the Earth. Have you ever heard all those kind of aurora sounds? They're not real. They're not sounds we can perceive, but once you put them into the air, once they are perceived by shortwave receivers. Have you heard that stuff? Because it reminds me a bit of your bat thing. It's amazing. What do they sound like? Oh, it's incredible. You won't believe it. It sounds like the best synthesizer you've ever heard.
I can imagine. I mean, hearing the Aurora Borealis, one of the most exquisite natural phenomenons on Earth. I cannot believe we can hear that. Yeah, please.
I will send you a link. I'll find it on my home computer. Sorry, my studio computer, and I'll send it to you.
I love gadgets like the bat signal. This is a little one here. It's by Soma, and it's basically you can tune into basically electricity or something like that. So if you go around any plug, or if you go to a lift, and it sounds like Aphex Twin. It's brilliant. So you walk around and weird crackles, or if you put it next to a phone and stuff like that. But it's an amazing thing. I have no idea what the technology is, but this one's called it's called Ether, the Soma Ether, I think it is.
Nice.
It's a great machine. That is. It's really good.
Richard Norris, the grid whisperer. I love it. This is exactly what we need more of in
That's
this field.
exactly it. We could briefly mention the gig we all did together and stuff. Loved it. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dr. God in Sheffield, in your hometown.
Yeah, I'm playing there again with M17 in November, actually.
Well, the same venue.
Same venue, yeah.
Cool.
Bring us in, we'll warm up to you.
It's quite small, but I kind of we like those intimate gigs. So.
It was great because it was in the round. That was really nice. And different people in different corners of the stage was really good. I think I remember coming up to you and saying and you were sitting next to me, and I was saying, "Oh yeah, the people that are coming on before, they're really good," and it was actually you that I was thinking about. So I was like, "What?" So
One of my proudest moments.
I think you got changed or something. Your hair was different or something. It was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, the version of me off the stage and the version of me on the stage are two very different people.
No, it's quite good. Yeah, telling you that you're really good without knowing it's you.
Yeah, it was a good confidence boost before I went on the stage, let me tell you. And what a show. And it's, I was thinking about this earlier, Martin, reflecting on it before I prepared for this podcast today. And, just had my 40th. So I'm reflecting on, all the different versions of me in the different chapters of my life. And some of my most favorite musical experiences have been with the opportunities that you've given me. The fact that we played the Octagon in your hometown with Richard and a few other music heroes. We played Hamburg together and the National Portrait Gallery, and you really have played such a pivotal role in, dare I say, making sound healing cool. So it's becoming more widely acknowledged by electronic musicians, and it's a big thing.
It's very kind. I tell you what I really liked about the Sheffield gig, where we all did a performance with a big 3D sound system, just to let people know. It was quite a transcendental night in some ways. Is the fact that there were seats round the outside in kind of bleacher style of the Octagon, but then there was a lot of space around the central stage where you could just walk around, and we actually made a point of saying to people, feel free to get up and walk around. It's not meant to be you are passive, we are active. It's meant to be a participatory thing, and I really like that, because generally you tend not to get that so much, even in festivals and stuff, because it's too crowded.
Yeah, Roundhouse is the only other venue I've done that.
That's it. And we played with 3D sound as well. So yeah, anyway, that was great. Look, we're gonna have to wrap this up, I'm afraid. It's
Always need more.
probably talk for hours and hours.
We're just getting started.
Drone on and on and on. But
Talking of which, you mentioned what I'm up to next, and it is actually that. It is droning on and on. We're doing a festival. We're doing the 14-hour Technicolor drone. We're doing 14 hours of drone, which is overnight, and it's at a festival called We Are Fungi Festival. It's a mushroom festival in West Sussex, with loads of people, Merlin, Sheldrake, and lots of people playing at it. But yeah, so early evening. It's goes out into this tent, this round tent, and then from 11 at night it's a silent disco all night with drones and visuals as well. So yeah, going right into that sort of thing.
suppose there's no hallucinogenic mushrooms being taken there.
We've got no idea. We wouldn't know.
Oh my God. Okay. Right. A few questions at the end, like we always do. Who's your favorite? What's your favorite natural sound?
Oh, the sound of pebbles on the beach.
What, walking on them or the waves?
The waves coming in and out, and just that kind of drag,
Yeah, it's beautiful. Isn't it? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite? If you had to pick one ambient album, what would it be?
Probably be it would be there's an Eno comp that I think there's 2 tracks from Music for Airports. I think it's Music for Airports. It's one that's called 1 and one's called 2, the tracks. But I had this Eno comp which is like a box set of CDs, and I just was on holiday once and just played those 2 tracks again and again and again, just lying reading and watching in the sun. So I think it was those 2 tracks, which I think are from Music for Airports. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Okay. Who are your favorite non-electronic composers?
I like Neil Young quite a lot. Scott Walker. Just hundreds and hundreds. I mean, I compile quite a lot of sort of early 70s kind of psychedelic folk albums for Cherry Red. I've done two
I love that.
volumes of three CDs each. So that's tons and tons of that. So a lot. I
Get
really
those in the notes. I want to hear those.
yeah. They're called The Magic Forest and Deep in the Woods. And there's a particular there's a particular strand of early 70s kind of they're mainly British artists, and it's probably more female than male, but yeah, there's a certain sound of a female folk singer and acoustic guitar that I really like as well.
And what's your? This is the last question, by the way. What's your greatest hope for the future in terms of music? Would you say?
That the people change how they listen. Really, I think that to listen to what we're talking about, it's a very, very different way of listening to scrolling through Spotify and listening to something for 30 seconds. I mean, to listen to something for an hour, or what you were saying about that great performance you saw. I mean, you have to reset your brain and really think in a different and listen in a different way.
Conscious listening.
Yeah, exactly. And to to people to become a bit more like Pauline Oliveros, I think, and her ideas of the differences between listening and hearing, and just I think there's a conscious listening. That's one thing. I mean, not in a wider sense, there's lots of other things we could improve, but I mean, in terms of music, I think that would be interesting. But just to get people to be more open-minded about how they listen.
Well, that in itself will then have a knock-on effect to all of the wider issues anyway. Starting there with conscious listening could change everything.
And conscious listening to nature as well, I mean, the music is everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of found that through kind of John Cage and things, and think about walking through the city and thinking of it as an orchestra, and I love that idea. Yeah.
Too.
Well, we have to do some more work together, Richard.
Great, good.
I'll let me have a think, and I'll come up with a cunning plan.
Yeah, great.
Because we're all on the same wavelength. Excuse the pun, but
Yeah, true ambient architects.
Yeah. Well, I'd really love to know more about gongs and sound bars and that, because I find it fascinating, and it's such a different. I mean, we're kind of coming to the same endpoint, but it's coming from a very different area to start with. I find that absolutely fascinating.
Is that different routes, same vision?
Yeah, totally.
have a sonic massage. That's what you want. Oh, I'm serious.
Recalibration station.
Yeah, you've got it. You are such a marketeer.
Who, me? You're not.
Yeah, and a strange combination of hippie and marketeer.
Dangerous. Sounds lethal. My intention is pure.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and can't wait to put this one out. I'm sure people will love it. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.